Well, as we can see, there was anything but order in a court going on there. Welcome back to Crime 11, the magical land of cheesy puns and crime. And we're about to talk about why that occurred. It took place on June 23rd, 2022 in Cincinnati, Ohio. The guy getting hit is a defendant named Deshaun Brown, and his attacker is a guy named Antonio Hughes. In case you can't tell, Antonio is a bit livid, and he definitely had good reason to be. And that reason concerns the deaths of a Cincinnati woman named Nyteisha Lattimore and her son, Nylo Lattimore. The last year of Naitisha's life was 2020, and like most of the world back then, she had to cope with pandemic-related stress and uncertainty. But her Facebook posts over the course of that year reflect a woman whose life seemed to have hit an upward stride after overcoming some dark situations in her past. She seemed to be in a very goal-oriented mindset, and her main priorities were her son Nylo, who had turned 3 that March, and advancing her career aspiration of becoming a medical assistant. Nylo was the absolute love of her life, and as such, he was a frequent subject of her posts. She was so elated to watch him grow and to see his mind expand as he learned his numbers and letters and things like that, and she was looking forward to him starting preschool that year. In other aspects of her life, she was anticipating that 2021 would be a big year for her. In August of 2020, she passed a test for entry into a college program to become a medical assistant, and she was going to be starting that in January 2021. Also, being as she didn't have a driver's license, one of her goals was to get one and then to get a car eventually. So those were just a couple of things that she was looking to make major moves towards in 2021. But unfortunately, she never made it to 2021. On December 12th, around 3:30 a.m., a security guard at a construction site adjacent to a bridge in Cincinnati known as the Purple People Bridge noticed a bag that had been left near the edge of the bridge. He went to investigate it and discovered Naitisha's body inside. It was a literal body bag that she was in, and she had been stabbed to death. The police quickly zeroed in on Deshaun Brown, who had been romantically involved with Naitisha. It's not clear from anything I've seen how long they had known each other or had been seeing each other or how serious they were or what have you, but she and Nylo did appear in a Facebook Live video that Deshaun recorded on May 22nd, so they were certainly cozy with each other by that point at least. With Naitisha sitting in the background, there's a moment where Deshaun coaxes Nylo over to him to play with him a bit and then plants a kiss on him. And to see Deshaun look so doting and loving with Nylo in that moment makes the details of Nylo's eventual fate extraordinarily sickening. It was determined that Deshaun had murdered Naitisha in her apartment on December 5th, which wasn't even one whole month after her 29th birthday. Coincidentally, there was a very bizarre status update posted to her Facebook the morning of the 5th at 6:29 a.m. that read, "I love him forever, Deshaun Brown." It was a post that seemed extremely odd and out of place because she had never written anything like that about him on her Facebook. It turns out that it was actually written by Deshaun himself, and that means that Naitisha was most likely dead by the time it was posted. Deshaun would later tell authorities that the day after he killed Naitisha, he took Nylo to the Ohio River and threw him in it while he was alive. And so that was the end of Nylo's short, innocent life at the hands of Deshaun Brown. That's the story he told, at least, but a Paw Patrol blanket found with Naitisha's body had Nylo's blood on it. So that would indicate that he had some type of physical injury even before he was put into the river by Deshaun. But going back to the courtroom scene, Antonio Hughes is Nylo's biological father, and so that certainly explains his level of rage. But to add even more elements of disgust here, as if there weren't enough already, after killing her on December 5th, it was almost a week before Deshaun bothered to do anything with Naitisha's body, meaning he just left her remains decomposing in her apartment for some time while he carried on with business as usual. His normal Facebook habits centered around making idiotic Facebook live recordings where he would lip sync to rap music and jiggle around while rolling blunts and getting high. He even flashed a gun in a couple. What he found so entertaining about those antics, who knows or cares, but that was his regular thing. And it continued to be his thing even after he murdered Naitisha because he posted 3 Facebook Live recordings in the days after he killed her. There were 2 on December 6th and then another one on the 8th. And what's really spooky about that one is when you focus on the background and see that he's in a room with a kid-themed cartoonish curtain, like something that might be for a 3-year-old perhaps. And then you compare that to a selfie that Naitisha posted in May and see the same curtain in her background, and it kind of makes you go, because that lends itself to the fact that he was in her apartment recording that nonsense like he hasn't got a care in the world, while her body was lying around there somewhere. Family members of hers have said that he didn't have a permanent place of his own and had stayed with her at some points. So while I can't say 100% that's where he was, it certainly is highly likely, and that is just appalling. It wasn't until December 11th that he finally took her body to the bridge. He had ordered an actual body bag from online, and surveillance footage from a hallway in Naitisha's building showed Deshawn as he carried her out in it. He ordered an Uber to drive him to the bridge and told the driver the bag was filled with clothes because he was moving or something. And then he disposed of her, and then she was found in the wee hours of the next morning. Thankfully, by that night, Deshawn was in police custody. The motive is said to be that Deshawn was unhappy about Naitisha miscarrying a pregnancy. She did post about a miscarriage back in late July, so I'm assuming that that's what is being referred to. He told a friend a couple of months before the murders that he was upset about it and blamed Naitisha for killing the baby, and said that he was going to get her back by doing something to Nylo. The only trace ever found of Nylo was on the day after Naitisha's body was found, and that was only a stroller identified as being his that was found somewhere along or in the river not far from where her body was. As of today, mid-July 2022, after about 180 miles of the river being searched in 3 separate states, Nylo's body has never been recovered. Deshawn Brown has been charged with 2 counts of aggravated murder and other related charges and may be facing the death penalty. And may justice be served.